Okay, welcome everyone to the next e-commerce growth meetup with the refreshed visual identity. If you guys have been with us before, you probably noticed we have a new logo, we have like a new colors. I think it looks awesome. And today's event is about the checkout process, and the title is Beyond the Buy Button. And let me introduce ourselves. So I'm Ewa Wysocka, I'm CEO of Tpay 47 and founder of Portal Yogi. Recently also founder of podcast in Polish called O e-commerce. So not so much in English. And Arek, you can introduce yourself. Okay, Arek just disappeared from the call. That's fine. So in such case, I'm going to introduce Arek, and we have Arek Wiśniewski, who is the CEO of and co-founder of Sublime. Okay, and what does Sublime and Tpay 47 do? Basically, we've got. Wait, I don't know why I lost Arek, but it's fine. Tpay 47 consults and executes growth, and Sublime measures growth. So sorry guys, because I mean I lost Arek and I'm just worried about it. Okay, well, anyways, the first part of the presentation is anyways on me, so don't worry guys. I mean, I can probably handle myself. So let me first introduce some of the partners who are supporting today's event. We've got Enjoy Growth, which is a newsletter dedicated to the different growth tactics, and the organization called Founders. That is basically gathering all different founders. And welcome Arek back. So
Yeah,
I mean,
apparently there is no electricity in my house, so
wow, that's like
but I'm
100
back.
years, like 100 years back. That's fine. Okay, I have introduced you already, and I have introduced as well.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so let's roll. We've got our today's exciting event agenda. So the first short session will be by me, myself, and Arek, and it's gonna be about the must-have features of checkout for 2025, and it's gonna me showing you a little bit of a bigger perspective on the checkout process, and Arek as well with Sublime behind his back showing some of the data that they're observing from their
That's
clients.
right.
Will be super exciting. You guys will finally find out if one step or multiple step checkout is better. So if you guys are here, you can make some bets like one step checkout or multiple step checkout. Like who's for one step checkout, who's for multiple step checkout. I'm wondering. That's not such an obvious question, but Arek will answer based on the data they have. I was excited. Then we're gonna have a 30-minute session about unlocking checkout potential, data-driven approach to conversion and customer experience. And it's gonna be from Kacper Raszkiewicz, Chief Product Officer at Pstryk, but in fact, a really experienced conversion optimization specialist and leader. So I'm super excited to see his presentation because I haven't seen that content myself too. So, I want to learn here. And finally, we're going to go into an obvious part of that event, which is our panel discussion. I will moderate it. And we have some three really cool guests. So Kacper, who will be leading the previous session, will also join the panel. We're also going to have Jessica Karlińska, who is a partnership specialist from Tpay, one of the bigger providers of payment gateway, and just not only in Poland, but the region itself. And because of how much data they actually have about the um, payment choices, they also have like really good conclusions about what works, like how people like to pay. There are going to be definitely some things that Jessica recently tells, which is exciting about how this buy now, pay later option impacts checkout success. So I'm really interested in what she's gonna say. And finally, we're gonna have Krzysztof Miotk, CEO of Quale, which is a conversion optimization um, company, consultancy. So obviously they have lots of data, lots of insights, lots of experiments. So yeah, like today it's a bit different. Like it's about something very particular. So let's roll into it. Arek, do you want to add something about the agenda that we should, you know, mention? What you are the
Uh,
most excited about today?
well, yeah, I was quite surprised when I made like the presentation about the one step versus like multiple step checkout, because that's the thing that's been like really advertised lately, especially by Shopify.
Yeah.
And that was like the first look that we had at the real data of our customers in this aspect. So I think that's the most interesting thing, at least from our
Okay,
session.
so great. Arek is the most excited about what he will present himself. So thank you,
Yeah,
Arek.
but I also like want to hear from Kacper, because he's really well known in the community, let's say, in terms of like CRO and optimization of checkouts. So
Cool. So let's roll into it. So first us. Let's go. Oh, sorry. Actually, I forgot about that slide. So you guys can see the beautiful faces of our panelists, Krzysztof, Kacper, and Jessica, and myself. So yeah, let's go. So starting from my part, as you guys, if some of you guys know me, I like to put a bigger perspective to the topic. So before we narrow down on the checkout, I wanted to um, go like one step um, towards the ceiling of the whole topic and ask how is revenue generated in e-commerce? And you guys, some of you are e-commerce pros, so you know that there's something like e-commerce equation. If some of you guys are watching, you probably know what's gonna appear on the slide. It's a good exercise to remind it. So basically, revenue in e-commerce is formed by the four important metrics. And the first one is, of course, the traffic that we generate. Second is the conversion. Third is the AOV, which is average order value. And finally, the frequency. And there is multiple groups of different tactics that impact each of these metrics. So in the end, they actually impact the e-commerce revenue. And we will not go deep into them, but I want to show you that, of course, there's multiple tactics that support the traffic formulation, multiple tactics that support the conversion on the page, multiple tactics that support the size of the average order value that the customer will make during their journey on our e-commerce store. And finally, there's multiple tactics that support the frequency of the purchase, which in many e-commerces, especially those related to FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, this frequency is what everyone fights for. And I put in red all those things that are actually related to the checkout process. So the checkout process, the checkout experience impacts conversion, but it also impacts the average order value. And finally, what we very often forget about, it also impacts the frequency of the purchase because if people are not satisfied with how smoothly or how comfortably or how fair the checkout process was, how frictionless, how some people want to say, they might not come back to your e-commerce store, especially if your product is offered also elsewhere. Like, you have your direct to consumer e-commerce, and at the same time your product is offered in other places. Of course they will buy it in another place if the checkout experience was not smooth. So now the question is, what tactics actually impact checkout success specifically? Because there we had like a big picture. Let's narrow down to the checkout success. So if we just take the checkout, it also is formulated by multiple steps. So we have checkout begin, we have add shipping info, we have add payment info, and we finally have a purchase. So this checkout experience that we saw as a part of a big picture of e-commerce tactics here is now spread into 4 different steps. And now what I want to show you, I want to show you guys like how many different tactics and decisions can be made on each step of a checkout that will actually impact the checkout success. So let's roll into it. So first one first. Seamless mobile experience. Seamless mobile experience, it's also something that Arek will talk about in the other part of this presentation. How the checkout works on mobile and how it works on desktop can be very different. Payment option visibility. How many payment options you already show at the beginning of a checkout can actually impact the success of this. Progress indicators. If people see like what's gonna actually await them during the checkout process will impact the fact if they actually go into the next stage. Guest checkout options. So do you have to create an account or can you actually go as a guest through the checkout process? Social login. Like if you're actually creating an account, can you use your social media account or do you have to input your data and create an account like from scratch? Cart summary visibility. What is visible at the checkout begin is also so important and will impact what's going to happen later. Upsell options. Do you actually show them at the checkout begin or you actually don't somehow impact that experience? One page versus multiple step checkout. Super important tactic decision that Arek will talk about. Exit intent pop-up. So if you are leaving the checkout, are you actually doing something to get them back in? Persistent cart, which means that in fact, if you're leaving the browser and you will come back or you will come back from a different device, does the cart still show the items that you have added before or not? Or you have to do all that stuff from scratch? Go guest to account upsell, which means like something that Shopify promotes. Like you don't have to create the account in the checkout right on. You can actually create it after the purchase, which makes the process even more seamless. This will also help to take the person smoothly through the checkout process. And finally, live chat or support access. So are you actually giving options for people to contact your customer service assistants during the checkout process? So if something goes wrong, can they get a very quick support there? So all these things will impact the situation if the person from starting the checkout will move to the next steps. Now let's move to the other steps. There's adding shipping info step, which can be a part of the one step checkout, but can also be on the second step. But it's another thing that people have to do. So shipping cost threshold, like what kind of shipping cost threshold and how are you displaying it in the checkout? This will be impacting the success of it. Upsell options, are you showing them inside at this stage or are you skipping it? Autocomplete versus validation. When people are, and validation, when people are inputting the data, do you allow them to input this data from, for example, the data they have saved in their Google? Or you're not allowing that. Save data for logged in users. So basically, if people have already purchased, when they come back, is the shipping form auto-populated? Or when they input address, like are you helping them to finish the address so they don't have to type the whole thing? They can actually start typing it and you're helping them out. Delivery time estimation. Are you showing the people like when they will get the item when they're inputting the shipping info? Multiple shipping options, like how many shipping options are not too much, how many are just relevant, what kind of shipping options should be shown? Localized shipping methods. So are you showing different shipping methods in based on what people have actually input in their shipping address? Clear return policy access. Are you actually justifying and explaining your policy on the shipping input stage. And at the payment stage, what kind of payment methods are you offering? How does it actually impact if people will complete the checkout or not? Supporting crypto payments. This is a new thing, but like, does it really impact the success? Maybe in Poland, not so much yet, but I know in Ukraine, this is a super important factor. Are you supporting crypto payments already or not? Cash on delivery, another thing that used to impact the success of the checkout, but can also be very risky from the perspective of the company. So, are you offering it or are you not offering it? If you're not offering it, what else are you doing? Buy now, pay later options. PayPal and Klarna, super popular things recently. When and how are you showing them and are you offering them? Because they might impact the success of the checkout massively. Card scanning and autofill, like especially if you're on mobile, like do you have to input your card or can you actually use your mobile device, scan the card, and input the data from the card immediately? Error prevention and validation, like are you actually helping to validate the payment info so the experience is even more seamless? Trust signals, like what kind of badges are you putting on the checkout process, especially near the payment info addition? Are you actually helping the customer to realize that you're fraud safe, that you actually have all the credentials to take their payment? One-click payments for the returning customers. Are you offering that option, that actually something that I use constantly on Amazon, for example, that I'm just going there and buying books and I don't have to input anything because it's just one click. So the purchase option is super easy. And finally, on the purchase stage where we spoke about it before, I was mentioning it, we sometimes think, okay, checkout success is just about converting that user and getting the big average order value, but it actually impacts the frequency of the purchase too. So if you will not have like good decisions about confirmation page and the email sequence that follows, it might actually impact the frequency of the purchase because people will be frustrated. Personalized thank you page where you can offer different things like loyalty programs, like you can actually communicate with the customer, create a personalized experience, referral incentives which are connected to it, like are you offering it or are you not? Order tracking integration, so once people have already purchased, are you helping them to follow the order and understand when it's gonna come through? Order modifications, like are you actually helping them to modify the order? Sometimes people do things very quickly, so now do you allow them after they already made a payment to modify the order, maybe still change the number of items or even change the item or change the shipping method or adjust the address? Cross-sell or upsell, like are you doing it after the payment was submitted? And Shopify is this famous tool that allows for multiple cross-sell and upsell options also after the payment stage. Are you doing it? This can impact not just the frequency but also the average order value, so still part of a checkout. So a lot, right? So my main point was like, let's see a checkout as a part of the conversion journey, and let's see how many different tactics there is. That's why I think the topic is so powerful, because checkout is so impactful when it comes to the whole e-commerce equation. That's why we decided to actually devote the whole today's meeting to that like seems like a very little topic, but the topic is very wide. So now Arek will actually tell you about different data points and stats that they have found with Sublime. So
Yeah,
stage is yours.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, so well, like during like the last year, we saw that a lot of our clients did some checkout optimization, and well, the main theme that we observed was that they were implementing one-step checkout, partly because Shopify introduced that feature a couple of months ago and is sunsetting the multiple step checkout, I think in a half a year or something like that. So that's one thing, but not only our Shopify clients did that, but also ones running like Magento or Presta. So firstly, we took a look at those data and tried to compare the multi-step checkout to one-step checkout to see if it really works. And we run the data, all the data that you will see here will be for the last 3 months. So from December 2024 to February 2025, and for our US and also like for our Polish clients. So the multiple step checkout usually consists of 4 parts. So Ewa already described that. It's checkout begin, when you enter the checkout, then you add shipping info, add payment info, and then you make a purchase. You can have more steps, but those are let's say basic steps. So at the beginning, you've got 100% of the user. And it's important to understand that this conversion rate at the end is not the conversion rate of the whole page. It's only the conversion rate of the checkout. So we only count people that enter the checkout process. So at the beginning, you have 100% of the people going into the checkout, and then at the shipping info, you retain only about 34 to 63 of those people. So it's a little bit less. So you are losing around 50% on average. Then when you are going to payment info, you are losing. You either have 34% as of all the people that enter checkout, or you are losing around 10% of the people that you had, 10 percentage point of the people that you had at the shipping info step. So there is a slight decline, but then at the purchase page, you've got only around 30% of the people converting. So the decline or the churn, the people from the checkout begin to a purchase in a multi-step checkout process is around 70%, and so that's quite a lot. Well, we also took a look at our one-step checkout clients, and here we have also 100% people beginning the checkout. That's our baseline, and then shipping, payment, and purchase is in one step. And yeah, it seems that more people than in multi-step checkout process are converting at the end, are making purchase, and around 50% that began the checkout are purchasing. So the difference is quite a lot and quite big, and we were quite surprised because we thought that the difference would be some but not that great. And at least from our benchmarks, it seems that one-step checkout can boost conversion by from 50 to even 80%, and it's more effective than multi-step checkout. So that's a big difference. And if you are want to rebuild your checkout, I think that's the place where you should start, because there are a lot of low-hanging fruits there.
Quite interesting. I didn't expect such a big difference, actually.
Me neither. Yeah, that's why I said that that's one of the most interesting things that we learned, at least for now. So we also look at the conversion, checkout conversion, in terms of device that is being used. And here in this gram, we only took into consideration our Polish clients, and I will say in a minute why we did so. And because of the difference in multi-step and one-step checkout, we divided those clients into 2 groups, multi and one-step, and then mobile and desktop. And as you can see, there is quite a big difference in terms of conversion rate, checkout conversion rate for if you are using mobile and if you are using desktop. And this difference is especially big in terms of multi-step checkout. But on average, desktop can have up to 75% better conversion rate than mobile, and it's true for our Polish market, because when we took a look at at our US brands, our US clients, it turned out that the mobile conversion rate is nearly equal to desktop conversion rate, checkout conversion rate for those clients. So it seems that that's kind of like specific for us, and we can either like use we can either maybe don't trust our mobiles in terms of like doing a transaction or the security of our mobiles when we are doing a transaction, or maybe the e-commerce pages, the checkout pages are not well optimized for mobile, and probably they are like better optimized in US market. So that's one interesting thing. The second one is that we also like did a deep dive. So we dived deep into a conversion by browser in terms of mobile because we wanted to see if there are some conclusions on a more granular level. And it turned out that when we took a look at the people that were using mobile and making purchases, and they were using like mobile browsers, and the people that were using mobile in-app web views or Safari in-app application, we saw that there is a difference in terms of like checkout conversion for them. So mobile browser is one that you have on your mobile, and it's like a standalone browser. And in-app is mobile in-app is a pop-up, for example, that opens up when you are, for example, like browsing Facebook and you are clicking on the link. You are not leaving like the Facebook, but you can view the page on a Facebook. So that's the mobile in-app. And as you can see, like the conversion rates, checkout conversion rates for mobile browsers are higher than for in-apps, mobile in-apps, and the conversion is for in-app is around like 30 to 40% lower than in mobile browsers. And again, it's only true for Polish market. For US brands, we didn't see any difference in terms of like conversion. I am not sure why is it so that there is this difference. Probably it's like safety concerns. So maybe we are like treating something that is opening in another app as not like that trustworthy, and we're not making a conversion. Yeah, and I think lastly we took a look at checkout conversion rates by new versus returning customers, because we were wondering if conversion optimization or checkout conversion optimization is only important for new clients. Maybe returning clients are like converting regardless of the, let's say, UX of our checkout. And it turned out that it's true that our returning clients are more prone to convert because they already know the process, because they know the product, so they are more like, let's say, they are more committed to the brand. But again, like the difference is huge, and even in terms of like returning clients, there is still a place for improvement. And the returning clients have around like 50% higher conversion probability than the new clients, but still we can improve that and also like make returning purchases more convenient and get higher LTV. Okay, Eva, do you want to do a quick summary?
Well, you can already click through it and we can summarize it together if you want. So just for you guys to remember from my section, it's about the fact that checkout process impacts like three important metrics from the e-commerce conversion, which are e-commerce equation, which are conversion, AOV, and also purchase frequency, which we very often forget about. And second point is that from those that I listed, which is just like some starting point, there is at least these 35 tactics or decisions to make that can impact checkout process. And we have to remember that this little thing that we very often forget about has so many different things that we can experiment with. And we're going to learn even more about it. And
yes, and the one step like checkout like can boost conversion by 50 to 80%. So that's the low hanging fruit that you can start working on right now. And yeah, and the desktop can have like up to like 75% even better conversion rate. And we don't know if because it's like the chicken and the egg problem. So probably it's because we don't optimize for mobile, or maybe
Right.
like the mobile user don't want to convert. So
Totally think it's about a lack of really focus on the mobile, and we look at these pages in Figma, and we always look at desktop. We so often forget to look at the mobile, and so much more difficult to make the experience seamless on mobile.
yeah, true. And oh yeah, and then in-app conversion is lower than in mobile browsers. So yeah, that's a new thing. Probably it's related into the safety concerns, I guess. And the returning clients can convert with higher probability, but still we need to take care of them because we can because when we yeah, improve checkout, we can have like higher LTV and retention rate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you very much.
So now let's welcome Kacper.
Hi there.
Hi, Kacper.
Kacper, you can take over.
Yeah, okay, great. So let me share my screen and let's see if it actually works properly. Okay, I guess you guys can see it, right?
You can try to speak a bit louder, Kacper.
Yeah,
Maybe
sure. Is it all right right now? Yeah,
I think
cool.
so.
Okay, if it's not, just let me know. Okay, without the further ado, today we'll be speaking about basically optimizing your checkout experience, which means basically increasing your conversion rates and also your order value. And basically, we'll be talking about how to turn it from one of the biggest obstacles to your growth to actually a growth enabler. And a little bit about myself. I've been building digital products for about 7 years now, both for startups and scale ups and bigger organizations. I also worked for e-commerce startups for software as a service. And right now I'm the chief product officer at Pstryk, which is a next gen energy provider operating on Polish market. And the topic of today's conversation will be basically how to leverage data and check out user experience to increase revenues. But we won't be doing that directly, right? So we can only do it via, let's say, pulling one of those growth levers. So we will be focusing mainly today on conversion rates and also the average order value. So the name of the game for us is basically to make your potential clients more likely to purchase your products. But on the other hand, also pay attention to the average, let's say, cart size and your unit economics, your profit margin, so the average order value. And we'll be starting with the conversion rates. So some stats from Bimart Institute and e-commerce DB. As you can see, over 70% of carts are abandoned globally. And if we zoom in on Poland and CE alone, this number is actually quite higher. It's even up to 83%. So the takeaway from this slide is that there is a lot of potential on the table, and it's simply worth the hustle to pay attention to your checkout conversion rates and checkout experience. What's also really interesting is that it was studied that throughout only the checkout UX improvements alone, you can potentially increase your e-commerce conversion rate by nearly 35%. So it's also like the proof that checkout optimization is actually can be a huge growth enabler simply for your business. And if we were, let's say, doing a pitch deck for checkout optimization, that would be our market size slide, right? So there's nearly $260 billion on the table that could be recovered from lost orders in the US and EU alone. So the two main questions that we will be focusing on today is why so much money is actually being left on the table and how you can remedy that, especially specifically for your business. And firstly, I would like to stress out that no checkout is actually created equal. because in fact no business is created equal. So you always need to take into account the context of your operations, your customers, your business before making any substantial changes to the checkout experience. And I think that your entire store, your entire product experience whatsoever. So these factors are, for example, the profile of your customers. So who are your customers? How old are they? What's their status? Are you selling to businesses or customers? Is your business model mainly based on new one-time customers or returning users? So these are basically, I think, the most important factors that can influence your design decisions. Then product specifics. So you will be designing a slightly different experience if you target mass market or if you're selling like this high ticket, high-end products, so you're targeting premium. And also an interesting question is also if you are in the one or multi-line item business. So are clients usually buying single SKU or they complete the order with, for example, complementary products? And how long those products actually last? So what's the product lifespan? What's the, let's say, replacement cycle for those? And also quite interesting, and I think highly underestimated, is the purchasing moment. So this is mainly about where your customers like on average are, what they're doing, what's their context when making those purchase decisions. So are they at home? Are they on the go, for example, I don't know, on the bus, trying not to lose their phone? Is like purchasing with you a big decision that needs to involve more decision makers? Or is it like, a really impulsive buy, right? Are you in a special occasions business? So is there any seasonality that you need to take into account? And are your customers usually buying via mobile or desktop? So these all actually contribute to whether a specific checkout experience is good or bad for your business. Also, lead time and delivery, I think it's quite obvious. So are we talking about delivering in the next minutes, hours, days, or weeks? If you do, for example, bespoke custom goods, these will be longer. So you need to communicate that properly and optimize around it, right? And also what's connected with it are additional costs that need to be taken into account and actually can highly influence your conversion rate. And last but not least, your business model. So you need to be really honest with yourself. Is there a potential for you to actually turn your customer into a repeat customer, so someone who comes back to buy your product? Is there potential to turn it into a subscription-based business, or are you simply in a one-time purchase business, which doesn't mean it's wrong? You just need to optimize around it. So no checkout is created equal. And I think that being said, checkout experience is one of the best researched areas in any digital product, let's say. So there are some best practices that you can leverage in order to optimize your checkout conversion rates. This list won't be exhaustive because I think you can look it up online and there won't be any value from me, repeating the obvious. But if I were to finish the sentence, every good checkout, I would probably go with something like this based on my research and also my previous experience. So first thing is that it needs to feel familiar to frequent online shoppers. So this means that it's not a place to get creative. There is there are no infinite ways to design a good payment method picker or delivery method picker. You need to actually leverage what works for your competitors, for other products online, for other stores, because of something that's called familiarity bias. So basically, people prefer what they know already, what they interacted with online. So your clients probably are frequent online shoppers, so it's something to be considered. Also, one of the biggest reasons for cart abandonment still is bugs and poor checkout performance. And I think it's a really simple thing to fix if you pay attention to it on the quality assurance side. So you need to ensure that for a customer's device of choice, so once again, you need to know whether you're selling to mobile users or desktop users. Probably mobile is on the rise as on the market, but you need to make sure that for those platforms, your experience is optimized. I think it's actually the biggest reason for abandoned cart is let's call it unpleasant surprises, right? So if you're, for example, in a high volume business, so for example, you're selling to businesses and your delivery costs and fees and taxes are really high, you need to be transparent about it, because the later you showcase it to the customer, the higher is the propensity that they will simply drop off. So I know it's tempting sometimes to, experiment with moving like the price information to the very last step, but on the average, it doesn't work. It can create frustration. It can cause you to lose customers and lose their trust. Limit manual inputs. That's the next easy hack, let's say. So the golden standard right now is basically, I think, 7 to 8 form fields, but it's actually quite high. I think that in the next years or months, this number will actually go nearly to 0, because you currently already have checkout experiences that are based solely on Google and Apple Pay, and you can basically buy stuff and without inputting any address details, and you just choose the delivery method, you authenticate, and it's ordered. So I think this will go even lower in the near future. The next one is simply do not require registration or login to place order. The hard truth is that no one wants an account with you because you're selling probably, like on average, physical goods. So the benefit of having the account with your store is nearly 0, right? So it can only distract. It can, be a unnecessary friction to the checkout process that you would like to remove and allow users to purchase as guests. The next one is offer express payment methods and buy now pay later options. I think it's been said like multiple amount of times. It actually boosts conversion rates, so you need to focus on that as well and make sure that you offer those payment methods. And last but not least, provide convenient delivery methods for your customers. So if I was to give like one advice for this step 1 or tactic number 1 is to start your evaluation here. It's rather market agnostic, so you cannot go wrong with it with some asterisks, obviously, but you can leverage it to just audit your checkout yourself and be honest whether you meet those criteria or you don't. And then the step number 2 for optimizing checkout based on data is to implement robust tracking. So what I mean by that is something which is closer to product analytics, rather marketing analytics, that gives you leverage of data to actually make better design choices. And let's see this example. So we have this chart. This chart is trending upwards and to the right. So great, right? We are really happy about this chart. But then you start digging deeper and ask why. So why is my checkout performing better than it used to be? What changed? What actually is the reason, right? So you need to know what happens exactly in the middle, so for all of those checkout steps, in order to be able to optimize it. So let's take an example. It's really simple. I just took, let's say, Zalando checkout process. As you can see, there are multiple steps here. Some of them are unnecessary, but I think it's a different discussion. So if I was doing instrumentation, so if I was defining events for this checkout process on high level, I would go with something like that. So you can add events for example, login viewed, address viewed, payment method viewed, summary viewed, and success viewed, right? And this is, really, let's say, overly simplistic, I would say, but it can allow you to go from the previous chart to a simple funnel that already gives you more data regarding why, for example, your conversion rate drops or is on the rise, where is the problem that needs to be pinpointed in order to actually improve your conversion rates and how it trends over time. So this is really important. And also about the analytics, I think it's super important to choose the right tool. I know that Google Analytics is still the golden standard, especially for marketers. And truth is that it actually is a good tool for page level tracking. and acquisition channels. But if you're really serious about optimizing your checkout experience, you need something different. You need product analytics that can actually allow you to monitor the funnel performance, the engagement, and the conversion rates with more detail. And actually, you probably need a different tool for that. So one of the tools that I actually used in the past are Amplitude, Mixpanel, and PostHoc. And I think you can research them later. I think PostHoc is actually the cheapest one, or even free to some threshold, and it will allow you to basically plot some charts and be really, let's say, specific about the analysis that you want to perform, in comparison to Google Analytics that, as I mentioned, gives you great acquisition channels tracking, but lacks certain features required for serious conversion rate optimization. So that would be the quantitative part, right? So you just simply let's say analyze specific steps, specific events, and you see what works and what doesn't. But step number 3 is talk to your customers, and this is actually the really important one, mainly because the quantitative data won't speak to you. It won't tell you why. So let's see this, let's say, simple example funnel that I display here, and you know that this is probably bad, right? Because no one wants to have such drop-off in checkout funnel. But actually, you don't know why. You can have some hypotheses that you can later on test with A/B tests and stuff like that. But basically, you can only guess, and that's why you need to talk to your customers on a frequent basis. And a small reminder from the previous slide is that you need to be sure that whatever you're doing to optimize conversion rates is actually tailored to your business needs, to the profile of your customer, and that's where the interviews come in. So very short introduction. So there are 2 types and 2 ways of thinking about the interviews. You have generative interviews that help you uncover customer problems, and you basically lead those discussions like, tell me about the last time you purchased with us. What went wrong? What went well? What frustrated you? And you would be really amazed what insights come from those discussions. Actually, we were running them when I worked for PackHelp, and there was like a gold mine of insights that came from those discussions, even though at the end of the day it was still like a basic e-commerce funnel. So you don't need to have a B2B software as a service AI powered tool to talk to your customers. You can do it even if you're an e-commerce business. And there are also evaluative interviews, and these are really interesting because they help you validate your hypotheses. So you go from quantitative data and product analytics to spot the problem, and then you have some hunches what might actually be the issue here, and you just simply tailor the prototype with some design changes, show it to the customers, and see them interact with it in real time. And the biggest obstacle to the interviews and prototyping is actually the hidden costs. So you need to have designers, you need to devote their time to create those prototypes, right? But nowadays, prototyping is easier than ever, and I'm going to show you an example. I just pulled up some random store from Google. It's actually number 6 in search engine results page. I didn't really pay attention to finding the checkout that needs optimization. I just took the first one. And as you can see, there are a lot of things happening here, maybe not especially good ones, right? And I think we know all, let's see some room for improvement. And what I did, I took the slide from every good checkout that I showed to you, and took this screenshot, and I input it in Claude 3.7 Sonnet to be exact, with a really simple, overly simple actually prompt that basically was about, okay, so this is the experience, these are the best practices, help me build something that's clickable and that takes into account those best practices. And actually what you can see here is that it created for me the entire clickable checkout experience with a single prompt. So imagine you have more time to play around with it. You can input the promo code, you can pick the delivery method, You can pick the payment method and accept the terms and conditions, and also review your purchase, which is really, let's say, maybe not on a design level, but mainly it reflects what I showed to him in the screenshot. So you can really leverage AI to create prototypes that help you get insights from your customers. Okay, we don't have much time, so I'm going to be quick here. We've talked about conversion rates. What about average order value? So basically, we'll be talking about balancing between value and noise. So upsells and cross-sells, and how they can actually benefit your business if done right, and harm your business if done wrong. So when done right, it feels natural, right? It feels like as if you had a concierge that recommends to you various, different products, some complementary products, some substitutes. It can actually increase your AOV, your profit margins. It can create loyal, repetitive customers. When done poorly, it feels like a noise. It actually distracts, it frustrates, and it can decrease conversion rate. So it's really like as a surgical work in order to get this right. And the placement of additional offers is actually key. So you need to target those high psyche, let's say, moments in customer journey that you can leverage to sell more to them. And the usual suspects for upsells and cross-sells are product page, cart, sidebar, checkout, and thank you page. And let's evaluate each of them. Product page is a wonderful place for cross-selling, because user is still in the browsing mode. So he's really receptive to product cues. So you can sell more to them simply by showcasing different products that may work. Cart, it's also a wonderful place for cross-sells and upsells, because it's where the costs are summed up. So user is inclined to bargain with you in order to make the amount you go actually down, right? So it's a good place. Checkout, I argue that it's the worst place to experiment with cross-sells. It's not a place to display products. It can work for to some extent. I'm going to show it to you in a few slides, but actually proceed with caution here. And thank you page, I think it's underestimated, but the thank you page after the purchase is a high dopamine moment where you can really leverage to win a returning customer. Let's focus on product page. So what you can do here is to basically promote complementary goods that work well with the product that you're browsing. So you can encourage user to shop the look and purchase more products that go with it. It depends on your assortment, on the kind of SKUs that you sell, whether you are able to deploy those tactics or not. And then you can also offer substitutes, so try alternatives, try similar products if you don't like, or if you don't have, for example, the size of the product that you're currently viewing. And some examples from Nike, they're actually good ones. So pay attention to how they actually compose different looks using the product that you're browsing, and you can actually, as a customer, really see it on yourself, see it in your wardrobe. So this is a great tactic to showcase complementary product. And on the other hand, they're also doing really great stuff when it comes to substitutes, because if you pay attention, I was actually browsing for shoes, right? And they are suggesting to me similar shoes, but you cannot see it basically on the slide, but the price goes down to the right. So if you're more price sensitive, if you're looking for cheaper options, they will suggest to you similar shoes with similar functionalities that are simply cheaper. So I think it's a great tactic, and I guess it works for them. So it's something to be considered. And then we have the cart page, which basically all product page tactics works here as well. So complementary product substitutes, but you can also have free delivery thresholds. So unlock free shipping from X amount. You can also have bundled offers. So save X% if you do not purchase only this product, but if you include it in a bundle that we have for you to buy easily. And then you can see some examples from ASOS. They are actually deploying similar, complementary products as on product page in the checkout. And on the other hand, Nike gives you like this cool gamified threshold that shows you, how much you need to add to the cart in order to get free delivery. So great for gamification, great for let's say, last mile optimization before user checks out. And then the checkout. So proceed with caution. There are some things that you can not natively implement here. So for example, faster delivery. So it's natural when I select the delivery option, maybe I would like to pay even more for the next day delivery, or simply, faster delivery. Or if I'm buying some high price tag products or bigger quantities, I might be willing to actually get some warranties, some additional protection to actually to actually make me feel more safe, right? And this is the example from Pack Help that actually was probably the last thing that I was implementing while being there. And it's a value-added service that was called Pack Help Warranty. So as you can see, it's directly in the checkout, and I think it really taps into the user psychology, because it's where they actually, they are worried that, for example, while ordering huge quantities of packaging, it will get damaged during delivery or something like that. So it actually performed really well when it comes to, upselling for those additional options, additional services that do deliver value for the customer. And the thank you screen, I think it's underestimated, as I said, because it's a great place to show discount for subsequent orders, some loyalty points, and even some of the shops actually use it to delay the departure of the order in order to allow you to, for example, add some more products to it without and bundling it into one delivery, right? So this is a tactic that also can be leveraged. Okay, I'm gonna be really quick because I think we are nearing the end. So for cross sells, make it optional, ignorable to the users. Avoid adding distracting product offers in checkout. Make the recommendations relevant, because you would really like to base your choices on some data that you gathered from similar customers, from similar baskets, let's say. So it needs to be relevant to work. Always cross-check the impact of your cross-sell and upsell tactics on conversion rate, because you might be increasing basket value while decreasing conversion rate. Leverage product analytics to measure success, whether a specific placement works or doesn't work for your business. And do not overwhelm customer with competing offers, because they will eventually cannibalize themselves. And also there's a Hicks law that says that the time to make a decision actually is longer the bigger the quantity of options. So you don't want for the user to be spoiled for choices, because they might actually get overwhelmed really quickly. So these are the, let's say, two sections of our presentation. Summing up, start with the obvious and start with squashing some obvious flaws and bugs of your checkout experience. Leverage product analytics. Test any changes quantitatively, but also talk to your customers. And if you introduce cross-sell mechanism, place them properly, use them with caution, and really make sure that they don't harm your business in the long run. And one bonus one, which is establish a regular routine. It's connected to dog fooding, so you just need to buy your own product and get in the shoes of the customer and see all those, let's say, important milestones from the journey. Also post-purchase, and the delivery, the unboxing, some refunds, and contacts with customer support. At the end of the day, it's all the part of the product process, let's say. So I think that's all. Thank you. We don't have time for questions, but I guess maybe some of it will turn up during panel.
In fact, some people are posting questions on our chat on YouTube. So after the session, we can answer them. But I'm also getting some of these questions from my team. So, we will be able to actually cover some of them during the panel discussion that we're about to start. So Kacper, you can stay.
Sure.
Okay. Welcoming my next fantastic guests. Welcome. Okay, so
Hello.
guys, let me first maybe introduce everyone before we start our panel discussion. So today we're going to be discussing beyond the click button, so all the things that will make our checkout experience smoother. And we have today with us ladies first. So we have Jessica Karlińska, who
Hello.
is the partnership specialist at Tpay. And she actually brings over 10 years of experience working in multinational markets. So that is very interesting for me. 18 European countries, China, USA. And obviously, by being part of Tpay, she brings a lot of data about payment preferences and what works, what doesn't. And we know that payments actually impact checkout experience super much. So I'm excited to have you. And we also have Krzysztof Miotk, who is UX researcher and CEO of Quale, a UX research and design agency, who also has his podcast. So hello, fellow podcaster. I also started my podcast, but just recently, so he had not so experienced as you. He is a consultant and researcher focused on creating seamless experience, obviously, so people can buy more and for more and more often. And finally, we have Kacper Raszkiewicz, Chief Product Officer right now of Pstryk, but before involved with many other companies working in the customer experience area for over 7 years, and a person that has a high reputation when it comes to talking about conversion optimization and all the related topics. And you guys already seen Kacper's presentation. I think it was very detailed, lots of tips. So now my goal is to bring all that stuff that was presented today into a discussion with you guys. And I would just set some small rules. So if you guys don't agree, that's great, you know. I want you to disagree. So if there are some ways where you guys can actually say that you don't like what the other person said, perfect, perfect. I'm even more happy about it because this will create a little bit of tension and and I always say in e-commerce and sales there's no black and white, everything can be
Sure.
this or that, and many ways lead to Rome, how they say, and the same is in e-commerce. So let's start with just this warm-up question first. So from your experience, how do you guys see the customer expectations evolving when it comes to the checkout experience?
Faster. Everything should be faster because we are in a constant rush, and people, they really want to do things as fast as possible. So what we see currently when it comes to checkout and the people's expectation, how fast they can finish transaction, is less and less clicks, less and less filling, less and less doing on customer side. So yeah, the faster you are when you organize your checkout, the better for you actually and for your conversion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would actually think that, argue that the best checkout at the end of the day is no checkout at all. So I think that in the near future we are kind of, will be in a place that everything is just one click, like literally one click. And I think this will become like a golden standard because, checkout is probably it doesn't add any value to the end user. It's simply unpleasant. It's frictionful, and it's only a place for them to actually drop off. So I think that the expectation towards checkout is, as Jessica said, to become even less, even more intuitive and even faster or even non-existent, as I mentioned.
Mhm. I think it's not just one click, it's about one decision. I mean, people like have most or more option. I mean, in the time they have become more demanding expectation, so it's not longer enough to have a nice visually appealing beautiful site or something. The this checkout should offer multiple payment methods, multiple option of delivery, but not too much. So when we go global, it's not good to have 50 different payment methods. Just, I don't know, 5, the most popular in this country. But we have to split this option to give users just one decision in one moment. So it's faster, but not just one click.
Okay, interesting. I mean, in a way that you have to be fast, but you still have to give lots of options, right? So people know how to that you actually take care of their individual requirements. Okay, so now this is not an easy question, but if someone wakes you up in the middle of the night and tells you, okay, so give me your 3 quick fixes that should be implemented into the checkout process that will improve the checkout conversion. Then what are you saying? Like they wake you up and you have to say like max 3.
I think it's deeply connected to my presentation, so probably I'll start because I feel like I need to prioritize all the things that I said. So I would say no necessity to register. So purchasing as a guest or even lack of registration process whatsoever. That's probably the first one. The second one is also, as Krzysztof said, the payment methods, like the express payment methods that are tailored to specific market. So you need to have them because, right now when it comes to Poland, Blik is probably one of the, the most frequently used payment methods. But I think that Apple Pay, Google Pay are also on the rise because they offer some kind of, native convenience. And,
especially on mobile, right?
Yes, exactly. So they feel native and people just like to use them because at the end of the day, Blik is super convenient. I love this payment methods. It's highly innovative on a global scale, let's say. But at the end of the day, you probably need to, go to your banking app and take the Blik code, then get back to the banking app and confirm. So the Apple Pay and Google Pay feel more natural, more native to your mobile experience. And the third one, I would say, total transparency when it comes to pricing, because according to research, hidden delivery fees, hidden, I don't know, taxes and some additional payments that are required, they do frustrate users. So at the end of the day, as I mentioned, I would argue that transparency is always a better option in the long run, to actually make it feel, like fair and win trust of your customers.
Okay, Jessica, your 3.
Yeah, I will add to what Kacper actually said, that Blik actually is really dominant on the market. 70% of the whole transactions we provide online are now covered by Blik. So that's really the big piece of the cake when it comes to payments. So what is important, and you ask about these quick fixes, if you are able to put Blik on site, that means you have the ready place to put the codes of Bliks immediately. That's the number one what you should do, because actually that can raise your conversion in your online shop up to 6%. So if you grab the really big commerce and you see that 6% conversion can be increased only by putting Blik on site, it's a big step to scale your business. So that's number one. And number two, remember then that actually Krzysztof also mentioned that people need to feel trusted when it comes to choosing your payments method. So if you put Blik in North America, nobody would nobody would like to use it because they don't know it. So it's really important to have local payment method set in your e-commerce business. And as an addition, I will add another thing, that it's really important to also take care about the moment when actually people abandon their cart, because you can use the ready systems like automated emails after not finishing transaction within an hour to remind them, hey, you have still not paid your order or something like that, to click it, because as we see, such system can also save the abandoned cart, and you can reduce your churn up to 20% due such solutions. So not only focus on what you have on checkout, but also remember, if the checkout will be abandoned, that you can still have choices, and you can still take actions to help yourself not to lose such amount of customers.
Yeah, and this should come with the persistent checkout, right? So the checkout that is saved across different browsers. And Krzysztof, so now you have the hardest task
Yeah,
because all the
yeah,
things were already said, but now,
yeah. Yeah,
y-
based on what Jessica says, it's worth to remember that in other countries it's not just a matter of Bric's popularity. It doesn't work in other country. It's just in Poland. I mean, Brick
Not only.
with code. I know now it's expansion, but in USA it's hard to use them.
Mhm.
But I can repeat a bit about from my previous comment to your question, Eva, that I think how to fix this quick wins do in the e-commerce, in the checkout. I think giving the users only one, maximum two decision to make at one time, which means breaking down the process into few steps that user doesn't overthink too much. In my industry, it's the sentence "Don't make the user think." So that's it. And the next quick win. It's difficult because Kacper and Jessica said many, but maybe something less obvious, that maybe hiding the coupon field. It's small thing that is keeping the discount option, but not making it like highlight, because users can abandon their cart to search discount on Google, and later something could distract them, and they forget about the cart, and don't come to us, to our shop. So or they can find better price for the product. So uh, I researched that, and it's better to not highlight the huge field with discount code, that when where we ask the maybe you have discount code, it is no, I don't have, so maybe I can Google them. So yeah, so it's a little quick win.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, and actually it brings me to because I was building like the initial version of Delio e-grocery shop, and we are actually yeah, I'm not going to talk about this one, but the Yush app that probably you know, so the fast delivery for groceries. And actually, I really like their solution when it comes to discount codes, because instead of just giving like the input field, so okay, now you just go online and you probably find like this discount code, you just have the coupons that are, because I think it's a very smart business decision, because if you have discount codes, you probably have some of them valid, right? So you display them on your website. But at the end of the day, you don't want user to go back even to your website to look for the codes. So if you have this offer, let's be open about it, and let's make it super frictionless to just activate it with one click. I think it's a really great approach, but also it comes down to the fact whether the discount is like the part of your pricing strategy for your business, or you just want to leave it, for example, for some special partnerships with influencers and stuff like that. So it's really like there are a lot of moving parts here.
yeah, that's a really cool tip, and I've seen it many times when, like, even in a kind of subscription apps where people are so distracted that they don't have this coupon code that in the end they end up not buying. So Very cool one. Okay, so let's go further with some of the questions that I was thinking about. So, well, let's we spoke about the present a bit, but now when you guys are looking into the future, what do you think? Like, what are those trends that are emerging? And I know like AI is the hype, etc. But it's already kind of touching all the aspects of the conversion journey. So, what trends do you guys see like that gonna maybe change even more this checkout experience? Like, what are those directions that people should look into when they think about optimization beyond all those good practices that you guys spoke about?
Yeah, I think it's maybe not super trending and super huge new thing, but based what you said about AI in this era of AI, where we hear about increasing fraud and scams, it's easier to fraud someone. I think we must ensure customers feel safe, particularly with payments. For instance, using popular this payment gateways is a small but impactful step that can enhance the user experience and increase the conversion because users want to feel safe in with our shop. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, and the frauds is probably something that's gonna be rising, right? So interesting. What else?
I think that,
I would add something.
yeah,
Who is saying, Kacper?
go first, sorry.
Okay, so when it comes to trends in payment area, I would tell you that right now it's starting, but definitely it will be spreading further and further. That you need to bring online solutions to offline world. I mean, for example, you add QR codes on your invoices or you put QR codes on the table in the restaurant so you can easily connect those two worlds. Because as you know, people right now, most of the time, they are just stick to their phones and more things they just do on the phones. So it's just like a tool they have everywhere. And if you want to help them feel more safe, even safe, that, for example, they can pay in the restaurant with the cards they already integrated. For them, it's better than, checking, or for example, if they travel and they need to exchange the currency, they need to have, the money in their wallet. It's less comfortable. So when you connect those two words, definitely you will grow. And second issue is another trend that we have also cryptocurrency, and more we can use it in normal lives to buy flat, to buy something in the shop. So right now, for example, at Tpay, we work to have it as a standard payment method in our solution, that you can just use crypto and pay using crypto. So definitely that will be something new and something that is actually in use, but not in so popular option right now. But that will be changing within this year. So these are two really important issues. And of course, as you know, mobile apps, they are growing right now. Like more and more commerce, they need to have mobile option for their customer. So when it comes to payments in applications, it's really important not to be directed out of the application. So as many options as you can pay inside the application is better for you, because each redirection to be out of the application to pay is still raising the chance that the customer will just leave the transaction and will not finish that. So those three things I think are really crucial within upcoming years. And if you will not follow that, probably you will be, stuck, back according to your different rivals on the market, let's say like that.
And Kacper, anything
Yeah,
to add?
I love the points that were actually brought up, especially the security in the AI era, and also the transcending, let's say, the digital and physical world. It actually works. I can also speak from my experience that, for example, also for energy bills, the QR code and fast payments in the mobile apps are the go-to choice for Polish customers. So definitely, I don't know about crypto because I'm kind of biased against it, so I'm not gonna comment on that. But actually, when it comes to AI, because it's a hot topic, and I think that what I see from, I don't know, LinkedIn, from things that are being rolled out, is that many people don't actually know how to approach it. So it's a kind of novelty that you don't really know how to deploy to bring value, right? So I think that in all eras of innovation, what works for businesses is starting with the customer, right? So the most basic thing, and I don't think that checkout is a great place for AI to come into, because basically people might not want that because of the security things. We are afraid to input any personal details in chat gpt, etc. So if I were if I saw the checkout experience that's based on AI, I would probably abandon it like instantly, right? But I think that AI can be leveraged a few steps before. So hyper personalization and really putting your face on the product that is being offered is something that's worth considering. There are a lot of startups that are using generative images to actually make it feel more personal, more native to you, because it's also about the transcending digital and physical, as Jessica said, because it's like having this AI powered dressing room that you can see, for example, different clothes on yourself, etc. So I would definitely bet on AI to, and it actually already does, revolutionize that. Whether checkout I would leave as this super safe, super bulletproof, but also super quick place that you just transfer the funds in a super intuitive way, and it's paid. So that's my take on that.
Cool, I do agree with the fact that very often we don't know how to place this AI, and everyone wants to talk about it. Like, I was reading a different panel a few days back, and it was also a discussion about AI, and there was someone from the PayPal, and they also said like, hey, we don't really use AI. I mean, it's a payment system. Like, well, what should exactly we say here? Because this is not the place to really play too much with the generative stuff. It's about the smoothness experience and safe experience. And actually, he said that they're proud for putting more physical people in the kind of customer service that supports the PayPal experience. And actually, their conversion raises when they have like the human, at the other side.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I think I would just add to that it's kind of it's a fallacy, because it's so easy to buy to build a chatbot nowadays that people might be inclined, okay, I will just take OpenAI API, right, and just put a few things there, and it will basically help me resolve some, I don't know, 70% of my customer requests. Well, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't feel native. It doesn't feel, even though it speaks more, let's say, humanly than the chatbots a few years back. It's not really equipped if you don't pay attention to, fine tuning it, and if you don't have people on the team that know how to build AI powered solutions. It might actually backfire because people will get frustrated.
Yeah, there's many things around it. Okay, so now let's jump into I mean, something that I really wanted to discuss, because we were like throwing lots of techniques so far, like one-step checkout, smoothness experience, like more payment options, localized options, like a lot of tactics. And I think during this event so far, like everyone who's watching got a really big bucket of tactics. Like there's so many things that we know can work, but now let's kind of put it into the experience of someone who leads the e-commerce operations. So how are they supposed to approach? Like, I know you, Casper, spoke about it a little bit, but like how should they approach this optimization? Like there should be an A/B test or just rollout of something that is obvious, like how to approach optimization of a checkout process when with the like lowest friction to the actual business, because we know that if we break it, we can even make it worse than it was, right? If the checkout doesn't work, like your shop doesn't work really.
Yeah. I can start. So basically, when it comes to A/B tests, I'm a big fan, but a lot of A/B tests are performed poorly and analyzed poorly as well. So it's really hard to to get this threshold of traffic that can ensure that you have statistically significant results. And if you don't have statistically significant results, you just cherry pick what solution seems like more relevant to your strategy, and okay, there's some data to back it up, so it will look good on a presentation, right? But at the end of the day, it's really difficult to roll it out. So basically, I had a few different approaches when it comes to A/B testing checkout in the past. I did A/B tests that changed the entire experience. Like the entire UX was different, the UI was different, but like end to end,
Radical test, let's call it.
radical tests. And basically they are not really informative. Why? Because you change so many things that you have no idea what works and what doesn't. I think we actually finished the experiment. It was for a software as a service product on a subscription base. So we finished the test. It was actually statistically significant. It was like 5% uplift, I think, or something like that. But why? I have no idea. So what I would say is to actually do it continuously. So if you have the analytics in place, like don't wait for special occasion to run an experiment, analyze it on an ongoing basis. And I think it's also the matter of checking if you don't break things. So it doesn't mean you need to roll out super experiments, but you can leverage A/B tests to simply check whether if I introduce this tweaked method of selecting delivery, right? If I introduce it, does it actually help the conversion rate or doesn't? So those micro changes, I would say it's a better approach to testing really anything, because you can then pinpoint on some level and attribute the uplift or fall in conversion rate to a specific change. So I would advise not to test the whole different experience against whole different experience, but to test those, let's say, those points.
Micro points. Okay, Krzysztof, you guys do a lot of these things, so
Yeah, yeah. I think it's worth to use A/B testing in the for most changes. I have clients who, after a UX audit, don't do any my recommendation without A/B test, and I think that's a super practice. That they have 50 recommendation, and always they first thing is A/B test, check the experts. So and I think it's the great idea, because people are just people. So sometimes I can be wrong too. But about maybe success story from the A/B test, I think I have one surprising success story where A/B test mm, during A/B test the progress bar was removed despite it being a Nielsen heuristic, what is surprising for UX industry, because Nielsen heuristic is like decalogue for us. But removing the progress bar resulted that more people completing their purchase, because it was very long, because it was specific e-commerce, but it was a long process. And when they saw that they have 6 steps in the feature, they removed the abandon the cart. But when in the A/B test we remove the progress bar, they didn't know how much time they need to put to the process. So it was, something like trapped users, because they losing their time going to the next step. They didn't know how much time they need to pay in the few moments, so they finalized the purchase. So that was surprising for me,
That
because
means test even things that should be obvious, right?
yeah, it's obvious, but yeah, but it was surprising because in heuristic Nielsen we have that we should show status to the user, we show
Yeah.
progress bar, and not exactly, because in specific context maybe it's not good for business.
That's super interesting. There's actually a concept of sunk cost fallacy. So
Yeah, yeah.
people, if they invested their time, they are more likely to, okay, it's like this process is super long and irritating, but I've dedicated so much time to it that I'm gonna just finish it. And I think this is something that might happen
Like
here as well.
lots of startups.
Yeah.
And Jessica, like, because of payment options, like,
Mhm.
would you still A/B test, or it's better to just show more payment options, add the buy now, pay later, and like don't test it, just add it because obviously it's gonna be better.
There are some data you should base on, of course, so that we know that if you don't have Bleak, you're in trouble right now. But generally, there is no like do not test option in e-commerce. So, for example, we have also such stories that, for example, one of the biggest fun park in Poland, which sells tickets, like an entry tickets, they, according to the reports, they were thinking that Bleak will be dominant in their payment method, that they don't need, for example, the loans from the bank or buy now pay later option, because who's gonna buy the tickets with the payments like that? But then we said, why not trying? And they actually changed even the panel, how they were presenting the option of payment to their customer, and instead Bleak as a first option, that put PayPal as a first option. And it occurred that within a month they raised 49% of the whole amount of transaction, only because customer could postpone the payments. And sometimes what we think it's not the solution that may work occurs, it's actually what was needed. The same topic, like, have you ever heard about subscription model for buying socks?
I heard some stories, but I always felt like it's a bit weird, but maybe for men, I don't know.
I saw
Exactly.
ads. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see, what we feel is misleading, because we feel, yeah, subscription for socks, like I'm gonna receive like 2 pairs of socks each month, what for? But it occurred, people do not want to think. According to neuroscience, our brain is lazy. That's what actually it's on every level possible. People do not want to put more energy than they have to, no matter what you do. So generally, if you can do something instead of your customer, is better. So when you add subscription model, the customer do not have to think about paying each month, about thinking that he may be even in need for socks, whatever. And actually, we see that also adding subscription to the brands that you may think subscription is not for them occurred, it is really changing their business. So this is actually what Krzysztof mentioned, that sometimes we based on our feelings, we based on our experience, but sometimes we should actually open our mind wider, because without checking how we know what's
But
gonna
now
work
it
better.
leads me to the next question. So, how do you get these ideas? Like, where do you get these insights? Because some of the tests you guys mentioned are
Hmm.
even like against the general recommendations. So, how do you gather insights? Do you ask the customers? Do you do research? Do you study materials? Like, if someone here watching as an e-commerce professional or maybe e-commerce owner, like where should they look for these insights and ideas? Like what's
Ready
where
reports, sometimes ready reports. For example, at Tpay, we also even set our reports that we want to check something, that we want to examine, the preferences, the minds of our customers. So it's always good to look at big brands because most of the time they have bigger budgets to invest in something innovative, something new in the market, and you can see if that worked for them or not. So if they worked, maybe it's good to copy.
and
Sometimes.
there is a question from one of the listeners. So which
Oh, okay.
e-commerces they should be looking into? Like if you can you guys give names? Like if right now I need quick inspiration on how to optimize my checkout, which e-commerces are safe to open and copy some of their best practices?
I would say those that are the biggest because they have the biggest budgets as well to test different things, and they
Mm.
also have like this quantitative proof
So
that
like
they work.
Zalando or
Yeah,
Sportano.
that's actually a good start.
Yeah, Nike, Apple, whatever. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
also,
yeah.
I think that apart from that, there are two things because you might be like looking for some general, inspiration regarding how things might work. So Zalando, Nike, stuff like that is a good starting point. But on the other hand, you might also look for let's say different implementations of your business model. So your competitors or e-commerces that are similar to you because you might share the same profile of the customer. So they might have some solutions that are tailored to the specific target that you also have, and maybe they operate, I don't know, on the US market, right? So there's a lot of data and a lot of a big customer base there. So you might actually compare to them, looking for more maybe market specific insights and solutions that might be relevant to your business.
Okay, cool. And
Yeah, that's according actually to my experience selling in different countries, that different people from different countries, they will think differently. It's not like you sell exactly the same in France, in Germany, in the United States, or in Poland. Like we have different routines. We have different way of thinking to, for example, new things. So we are not the same. If you go to China, you will see how many products you have never seen in Poland yet, and that will not immediately tells you that if you put the new product in the Polish market, you will sell it the same way as in China, because your customer also needs to be educated and they need to feel safe. They need to, want to try. So remember that different markets differs, and customers are not the same across the world. So be sure that your product is really good set for the particular market.
I think those payment methods is the most vivid example, right? Because
Yeah.
in majority of Europe, the wallets are the most popular method, right? And we have Blik, so
Hmm.
it's like in Poland we're just in a way different, or the shipping methods, right? Like
Yeah,
Impost in Poland, it's an obvious thing. Like abroad, they're far behind us, right? Like those another
that's true.
interesting insight that I got from the other panel that I was leading recently, that like we are actually quite developed when it comes to the technology absorption here in Poland, comparing to, for example, Western Europe. And very often we might forget about it, right? And I think that's an interesting insight too. But okay, how do you guys think like, should we ask the customers? Like, does it make sense to survey customers to ask them what to do to improve checkout? Like, do these things really make sense? Like, I had mixed experiences with that thing. You know, following Steve Jobs, who says that, you know, customers don't really know what they want and how they want it. Like, is it worth to ask them, or it's better just to show them and test?
Mhm. It's funny because Steve Jobs uh, does lots of does did
Did.
lots of research in company, but in the fast way and cheapest way, it's nice to look at analytics first, and it's cheaper, and we just can ask ourselves, can it be done better or faster, or better and faster? And sometimes it's obvious. For example, I worked in the startup, and I saw in the analytics that users need for the action about 30 minutes, and I thought, okay, that's a lot. And it was obvious that we should research, do more research, qualitative and quantitative research in this step, and optimize that. But sometimes it's not obvious when we have large corporation which do lots of research. Uh, we can, of course, do lots of A/B tests, like Booking, for example, which does hundreds of tests each day around the world. But you can also, what you said, do qualitative research and learn about customers' pain points that are not, and by us or the competition. So we think, okay, you have this pain point, or you have this feeling. So what we can do with our product for you? And it's how big companies works with us too. That when you are, for example, not e-commerce but bank, what could be innovation in bank? It's, each bank is the same, but they trying, so
That's
they
true.
do. Mm, they do
That's the moment when I say it's not true.
That's
that
good. That's glad.
they,
That's
they
good. Fight for it. We're gonna put like
they do
more
lots of
tension into this.
research, and they think who can be first. And of course there is a little bit difference, but very often it's the way that you are the first who do this innovation, and other banks think, okay, can we do that, or it's too expensive, or it's not our target group. So yes, so this qualitative research is good way in the point when we don't know what we can do better.
But remember, being first on the market doesn't make guarantee that you will succeed. We have a lot of case stories that there were company with innovative, great product, and they were sure that will totally, explore the market and everybody will love it. But then it's occurred the education was missed, but the people were not ready for the product. But because the step was too high from what they used to have and what they could have, that they couldn't even understand how they should use it. And they were first, but they were not succeeded. And after 5 years later, the same product occurred from different company, but during that 5 years, people have changed, and the education was raised, and it occurred that was a really gold product, but not in the moment before. So not always being first means that you will succeed. That's the first thing that I want to disagree a bit.
Yeah,
And
I didn't say that at all. Research is to reduce risk, not to make something first always. Product
mm,
discovery is about optimizing risk and ramming down dumb ideas quickly. So we do something, we research these pain points, we do innovation, we do research, discover research, and we see, okay, that was dumb idea, so we can develop it to the market. So let's kill that and think about something new. So yeah,
But you call it dump according to the feedback you got from,
no,
or
about our ideas, which can not be enough for users.
okay.
Because what you said is exactly point for startups. They very often do something first and they fall quickly too. So, but they very often don't do research.
But let's go back to collecting user insights. Like Kacper, do you have any idea about like what are the good practices to actually ask users, to survey them, to maybe like I've seen, for example, at some point when we were working with some companies and it was mostly in the subscription field, but in the lifestyle apps, we were using a lot of like these quick questions on the checkout actually. And some people were answering, for example, why they don't sign up. Like it was helping us to maybe optimize a little bit the experience, even the pricing. I remember like we were not using it right, like straightforward, but it was helping to direct us, you know, to what could be the friction point. Yeah, so I wonder if you do have some good practices.
So basically, collecting user insights is a topic that it depends on what we're talking about, because it's a different topic for startup founders, it's a different topic for big corporations, a different topic for e-commerce products in comparison, for example, to software as a service products, right? But basically, I agree with what Krzysztof said. So e-commerce and especially checkout, as I mentioned, it's not a place to get creative and reinvent the wheel. So there are some research good practices to follow. And my advice would be always to take this checklist and burn it down. Let's say improve and test every single step, but make sure that you get your basics right. And then look for optimizations in quantitative analytics, like, I don't know, as I mentioned, mixed panel, amplitude, Google Analytics, whatever you're using, in order to define, okay, I have a problem here and I need to get the context from the customer. But I would argue that whatever the business stage, it's vital to talk to your customers. And it's, you know, the thing is that talking to customers uncovers what you don't know. And because it's not like always, okay, I have this list of hypotheses and I'm going to talk to this user and we're going to, you know, tick every box and see whether he likes it or not. It's about, you know, the discussion, it's about the experience. And I know it's simpler for SaaS products because there's, you know, bigger engagement and stuff like that. But for e-commerce, it can work as well. I think surveys can be misleading, especially if placed in checkout, because they can distract. They can, you know, they can mix context. When I'm in checkout, I would like to check out. I don't want to, you know, answer questions about where I came from, what I like, what I don't like. It's not my context then. So I would say that if you're a small company, starting company, talking to users beats surveying with, you know, closed or even open questions every time. Right now, also when building Pstryk, I'm sending out, you know, personally a huge amount of emails to the customers asking about their experience and, you know, jumping on a call. Even I have some power users that I often message some new designs and asking for feedback and also jumping on a call to discuss that. So I found out, like, the hard way, that you can be data driven and you can, you know, base all your decision on quantitative data, but at the end of the day, you need to talk to a real person to put a face on it. Because if you don't, you're just, you know, you're overly confident because I have quantitative data, this needs to be a good decision. But then when you talk to a customer, you find out that actually it's not what was happening there. And you were too confident because you thought that you have all the data you need to make the decision. So I would say that it can be difficult for e-commerce, and as you mentioned, testing checkout can be rather challenging, but you can simply do it with prototypes, as I mentioned during my presentation. And it's important to also beware of survivorship bias, which is quite interesting when it comes to testing, because if you recruit people for customer interviews, those that respond to you are generally more satisfied in general. So you might hear a lot of great feedback. I love your product, I love your site, everything's perfect, and it's all pink and flowers and stuff. But those that are giving you the most valuable insights are those that didn't convert, are those that are the most frustrated, that unfortunately don't want to respond to your emails. So you need to figure out a smart way to get hold of them, because they have the insights that will be more powerful to your growth than those from satisfied customers.
That's a good insight. And when we think about checkout optimization, like how should you really approach it versus optimizations of other parts of the customer journey? Are there like some triggers, some moments when you should revisit the checkout? Are they related to the general checkout conversion that you should pay attention? If the checkout conversion drops, you should actually go and revisit or you should have this practice of constantly working on a checkout optimization. But then there's so many other things to optimize, like the product description, like how to find the maybe some kind of rule around it. Do you have some kind of rule of a thumb, like how to approach it versus other optimization things you should do?
I think you start with data. So if you see something doesn't work, you should focus more on that.
What does it mean it doesn't work? So
Like, for example, you see that from your business case, you assume that you're gonna do that TPV per month, but it occurred it doesn't. So you start digging, why not? And one of the parts would be checkout, that you look at that. And according to the, for example, information you heard today, you start thinking, if I have this, or that. And if not, what about if I talk with the expert? Maybe he will give me some insight, particularly to my case, because you need to start with something. And as we see from the high peaks in e-commerce, that a lot of merchants, a lot of e-commerce leaders, they start to focus on a lot of things at their shops online are before high season, like before Black Friday, before the Christmas, for example, because they know that they need to be ready with everything before that moment when they should scale the most, actually. So, but when they do it randomly, like once a year, that's not enough from our perspective, because they, instead of earning regularly and improving constantly their business, they do it once a year, and they lose a lot of money through the half of the year they should be focused on. So for example, when you focus on choosing the partners, for as here we have like somebody from UX, somebody from A/B test, somebody from payments, it's really important to have dedicated person to talk to, because they will give you their expertise on your business, because they know the up-to-date information from the market. They know the solution that just occurred that you can easily implement to your e-commerce. So when you are close to the experts in particular fields, you are more safe that you will not miss your chance to grow, So I think it's really important that you are in close partnerships, in close relations to experts in different fields when it comes to e-commerce business.
yeah, and just don't do it only before Black Friday.
Not only that time,
Friday.
It's good to check, of course, but not only once a year. Please don't.
But maybe you guys, Krzysztof, Kacper, do you have any like golden rule of like when the checkout is below certain threshold, then you know that that's the time to improve it, or you always constantly improve it.
Mhm, mhm. If you think in the moment that we think it's already okay with our check count, I think what you mean is prevention. So not just to research when we see that something is wrong with our checkout, because it's obvious that we see that customers abandon our cart, but this prevention is important too. And what it means, I think that having analytics integrated and tracking what users clicks and what they don't on checkout too, we should check it at least one time for month. It's absolutely minimum to check that maybe something changed. But when and it's about analytics. When we think about more expensive research like usability tests, so it's the method where we have one-to-one interviews with customers. If you are not a large company, I think the good time is one time per year. It's enough. When I do research for e-commerces, small, medium, one time per year it's enough. If you are, bigger company, it's very often one time
One.
per 3 months. So that's it.
Kacper, any?
Yeah, so I think, but the golden rule is that there are no golden rules, right?
Love
I
it.
would say that. So basically,
As everywhere.
basically, if, for example, an e-commerce founder approached me and told me, okay, so my conversion rate in checkout is X, right? Should I focus on it? I would basically ask them to show me the entire funnel, right? So out of people landing on specific landing page, what's the percentage that goes to the product page? What's the percentage that adds to cart? What's the percentage that goes to checkout? So if you have this like let's say end-to-end user flow and you can quantify all the steps in the middle, it's easier to determine, okay, in fact, actually, checkout could be improved, and it will probably, if you improve it by 5%, it will result in the specific uprise in the conversion rates. But you might also find out that, for example, problem is elsewhere. So maybe, I don't know, the category page is unintuitive. It doesn't have filters and stuff like that, and people are not able to find the product. Maybe there is no, for example, search function, right? And people need to, like navigate across different category pages to find what they're looking for. So it always depends. I would say that having like only one value, which is conversion rate in checkout, is not enough to make a business decision whether it makes sense to optimize around it right now or not. I would say that when it comes to revisiting UX assumptions around checkout, I don't think that I can give you a schedule how often it is advised to do that, because I would say that if you're a e-commerce founder, you should have like this daily dashboard that shows to you all the conversion rates. If something goes down, you just need to react accordingly. And I think that's the only advice that I can have. How often it's advised to revisit the checkout assumptions, it depends on your business. It depends on how your e-commerce performs overall, and not only about the checkout itself.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a complex decision. You should have, like, I think as Jessica said, you just should have smart people around you to give you some good advice and in the end make good decisions. So thank you guys. I mean, I don't know if you realize we spoke already for an hour, so let me just give a quick summary. So, you guys sometimes disagreed, but mostly you agreed that in the end of the day, the good checkout experience is first of all fast, second personalized in a way, adjusted to the local demands of the customers, And it's really taking into consideration security, and probably the security will be the topic that we will need to optimize around, because so many different things are coming into this playground, with AI included, of course, which is exciting, but sometimes not super really relevant for the checkout process in particular. So we should pay attention to this. You guys also spoke about some trends, like we spoke about crypto, we spoke about different payment methods, we spoke about buy now, pay later, which is becoming like the super big thing right now, and you should have it. But we also spoke about some interesting things that you can really only prove if you do the A/B test, right? And all of you guys agree that A/B testing is a very good method to implement innovations to the checkout. And sometimes you can get a very surprising results. And I remember two interesting things that Krzysztof today mentioned. And one was about actually making this coupon code a little bit hidden, and the second about in some cases to not to show this progress bar on the checkout, which are the things that might be actually counterintuitive for people who work in the UX and UI for a longer time, because these are some of the kind of templated benchmarks for that process. But you can really come up with innovations by a little bit talking to clients, but really you guys agree that it's better to talk to softwares, meaning analytics as the first place, and Mixpanel and other tools that will actually help you to get more data about how the customers are behaving. And you guys said I thought you will give me these golden rules of checkout optimization procedure. Only Krzysztof was brave enough to say small once
Was
a
a year.
no, small once a year, big once a month. You go. Basically, I like that. I think sometimes, maybe this doesn't apply always, right? If you have a small operations and your shop and product pages are in total mess, now you're going to be optimizing checkout will not make sense, because people won't even get there. So, you should be smart around it. And I think it was a very good discussion. When we were putting together this panel, I was thinking how are we going to talk about panel for 1 hour, about checkout for 1 hour? But now we can talk about checkout probably for even 5 hours, right? If we wanted to, because it's such a deep topic, and it impacts so many things, and it's such an emotional thing. And you guys also brought some of the behavior psychology into this picture, right? And I think some of you mentioned it, that sometimes it's about really trying to think about psychology of a user when he's going through the journey, and that can give you some good ideas on how you can optimize it. So it's fascinating topic. I got convinced about it even more. Thank you so much for this conversation. And those of you guys who are live, thank you for being with us. Those who are going to be watching the recording, you can still put the questions below, and we'll try to answer them. And see you at the next e-commerce growth meetup. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ewa.
Bye.
Bye.